Ho had worked on Orbital 7 for 3 years. It was not a glamorous job. He moved boxes. He checked cargo lists. He made sure the right things went to the right ships. But it was honest work, and it paid enough for him to send money back home to his mother on Earth. The space station was always busy. Ships came and went every hour. Humans, aliens, traders, soldiers, everyone passed through Orbital 7 at some point. Ho had learned to keep his head down and do his work. He did not ask questions. He did not make trouble. That day started like any other day. Ho was in Cargo Bay 12 moving heavy containers with his loader machine. The bay was large and cold, filled with metal boxes stacked high toward the ceiling. He was alone, which he preferred. Less talking meant more work done. Then he heard the first explosion. The sound was so loud that it shook the floor beneath his feet. Ho stumbled and grabbed onto his machine to stay upright. Red warning lights began to flash all around the bay. An alarm screamed through the speakers. Warning, hull breach in Sector 9. All personnel evacuate to safe zones. Ho's heart began to beat fast. He had done emergency drills before, but this felt different. This felt real. He jumped off his machine and started running toward the exit. Another explosion hit, closer this time. The lights flickered and went dark for a moment before coming back on. Ho heard screaming from somewhere far away. Then he heard something else, weapons fire. Pirates? The word flashed through his mind like ice water. Everyone who worked in space knew about pirates. They attacked stations and ships, took what they wanted, and killed anyone who got in their way. Orbital 7 was supposed to be safe. It had security forces. It had defenses. But clearly, something had gone very wrong. Ho ran faster. He had to get to a safe zone. He had to hide until help came. But as he turned a corner, he saw something that made him stop completely. 3 small creatures were huddled behind a pile of broken metal debris. They were children, alien children. Ho recognized their species immediately. They had smooth, pale blue skin and large dark eyes. Their bodies were small and thin, with 4 arms instead of 2. 2 of them were crying silently, their little bodies shaking with fear. The third one, the smallest, was trying to comfort the others. Ho knew about everyone did. They were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. Their military was legendary. Their ships were the fastest and deadliest, and they were known to be very, very protective of their young. But right now, these 3 cubs were alone. They were scared, and they were directly in the path of the fighting. Ho could hear boots hitting metal floors. The pirates were coming this way. He looked at the exit behind him. It was close. He could make it if he ran now. He could hide and be safe. He looked back at the cubs. The smallest one had noticed him. Its large, dark eyes stared at him with pure terror. It probably thought he was one of the attackers. Ho made his choice without really thinking about it. He ran toward the cubs, not away from them. The children tried to back away from him, but there was nowhere to go. Ho held up his hands to show he meant no harm. "It is okay," he said softly. "I am going to help you. I am not going to hurt you." He did not know if they understood his words, but something in his voice must have reached them, because they stopped trying to run. The smallest one actually reached out toward him with one of its 4 tiny hands. Ho gathered all 3 cubs into his arms. They were lighter than he expected, and they clung to him with surprising strength. He could feel their small hearts beating fast against his chest. He looked around desperately for somewhere to hide them. There was a small space between 2 large cargo containers nearby. It was dark and narrow, easy to miss if you were not looking carefully. He carried the cubs there and set them down gently. "Stay here," he whispered. "Stay quiet, do not move." The cubs nodded. They seemed to understand. Ho started to stand up, planning to lead the pirates away from this spot if he had to. But he was too late. The pirates came around the corner. There were 5 of them, wearing black armor and carrying large weapons. They were not human. They had gray skin and too many teeth. Ho did not recognize their species. One of them saw him immediately. "Human," the pirate shouted. "Where are the young? We know they came this way." Ho's blood went cold. They were looking for the cubs specifically. This was not a random attack. This was a kidnapping attempt. "I do not know what you are talking about," Ho said. His voice shook, but he tried to stand tall. He positioned his body to block the gap where the cubs were hiding. The lead pirate walked closer. He was tall, much taller than Ho. His weapon was pointed directly at Ho's chest. "Lying human," the pirate growled. "Move aside or we will shoot through you." Behind him, Ho heard a tiny whimper. One of the cubs had made a sound. The pirate's eyes moved toward the gap between the containers. Ho did not think, he simply moved. He threw his body over the opening, covering it completely. He wrapped his arms around the edge of the containers and held on with all his strength. If they wanted those children, they would have to go through him first. "So be it," the pirate said coldly. The first shot hit Ho in the shoulder. The pain was blinding, worse than anything he had ever felt. But he did not move. He gritted his teeth and held his position. The second shot hit his back. He screamed, but he did not let go. The third shot hit his leg. His vision began to blur. Blood was running down his body, pooling on the floor beneath him. He could feel his strength leaving him. But still, he did not move. "Stubborn creature," the pirate muttered. He raised his weapon again. Then new sounds filled the air. Different weapons. Shouting. The station's security forces had finally arrived. The pirates turned to face this new threat, and a fierce battle erupted in the cargo bay. Ho's arms finally gave out. He collapsed onto the cold metal floor. His body was broken. His blood was everywhere. But as his vision faded to black, he felt something small press against his face. The smallest cub had crawled out of the hiding spot. It was touching his cheek with its tiny hand. Its large, dark eyes were full of tears. "Thank you," it whispered in broken common. "Thank you, kind human." Ho tried to smile, but he was too weak. The darkness took him, and he knew nothing more. Behind him, in the shadows, the three cubs held onto each other and cried. They cried for the strange human who had protected them, the human who had given his body to shield them from harm, the human whose name they did not even know. Somewhere far away, their mother was coming, and when she learned what had happened, the galaxy would tremble. The first thing Ho felt was pain. It was dull and heavy, like someone had filled his body with stones. He tried to open his eyes, but even that small movement seemed impossible. His eyelids were so heavy. He heard sounds around him, beeping machines, soft footsteps, voices speaking in hushed tones. The smell was clean and sharp, medical supplies. He was in some kind of hospital or medical bay. Slowly, very slowly, Ho managed to open his eyes. The light was too bright at first, and he had to blink many times before he could see clearly. He was lying in a bed with white sheets. Tubes and wires connected his body to several machines. His shoulder, back, and leg were wrapped in thick bandages. A human nurse noticed that he was awake. She walked over quickly, her face showing surprise and relief. "You are awake," she said softly. "We were not sure you would wake up at all. You have been unconscious for 4 days." 4 days. Ho tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. The nurse gave him some water through a small tube, and he drank gratefully. "The children," he managed to whisper. "The alien children, are they safe?" The nurse's eyes widened slightly. She nodded quickly. "Yes, the cubs are safe. They were not hurt at all because of you." Ho closed his eyes and let out a long breath. Good. That was good. His body was destroyed, but those 3 little ones were alive. That was what mattered. "You are very lucky to be alive," the nurse continued. "The doctors had to operate on you for 12 hours. You lost so much blood that your heart stopped twice, but somehow you survived." Ho did not feel lucky. He felt like someone had taken him apart and put him back together wrong. Every breath hurt. Every tiny movement sent waves of pain through his body. "There is something else you should know," the nurse said. Her voice became quieter, more serious. "The cubs you saved, they are not ordinary children." Ho looked at her weakly. "What do you mean?" "They are the children of Commanding Matriarch." The name hit Ho like a punch to the chest. Everyone in the galaxy knew that name. Was the highest military commander of the entire species. She led the largest fleet in known space. She had won battles that should have been impossible. She was considered one of the most dangerous beings alive. And Ho had touched her children. Among many alien species, touching someone's young without permission was a serious crime. Some species punished it with death. They were known to be extremely protective of their cubs. They did not let outsiders near their young under any circumstances. "The matriarch has been contacted," the nurse said carefully. "She is coming here. Her fleet left space 2 days ago. She will arrive at Orbital 7 within the next day." Ho felt his damaged heart begin to beat faster. Fear mixed with the pain in his body. He had done the right thing. He knew that. He had saved 3 innocent children from being taken by pirates, but that might not matter to a mother. All she might see was that a human had put his hands on her precious cubs. "What will happen to me?" Ho asked. The nurse shook her head. "I do not know. No one knows. The station commander has been communicating with but they have not said what they intend to do. They only demanded that you be kept alive until the matriarch arrives." Kept alive, not cared for or healed. Kept alive, like they were saving him for something, maybe for punishment. Ho closed his eyes again. There was nothing he could do. He could not run. He could barely move. He could not hide on a space station. All he could do was wait and hope that the matriarch would understand why he did what he did. The hours passed slowly. Ho slept when the pain allowed him to sleep. Nurses came and went, checking his wounds, giving him medicine, helping him drink water. No one talked to him much. He could see fear in their eyes when they looked at him. Not fear of him, fear for him. The next morning, a station official came to visit. He was a tall man in a gray uniform, with a serious face and tired eyes. He pulled a chair next to Ho's bed and sat down heavily. "My name is Director Han," the man said. "I am in charge of operations on Orbital 7. I wanted to speak with you before they arrive." "Am I in trouble?" Ho asked. Director Han let out a long sigh. "Honestly, I do not know. What you did was either very brave or very foolish. Maybe both. They are not like humans. Their customs are different. Their sense of honor and family is different." "I could not let those children be taken," Ho said quietly. "They were so small, so scared. I did not think about what species they were or who their parents might be. I only knew that they needed help." Director Han studied him for a long moment. "The cubs have been asking about you. They want to see you. We have not allowed it. We did not know if their mother would approve, but they have been very insistent. The smallest one especially. She keeps calling you the kind human." Something warm spread through Ho's chest. The children remembered him. They did not hate him for being a human. They did not fear him. "What were their names?" Ho asked. "The oldest is, the middle one is, and the smallest, the girl who seems most attached to you, is Bora." And Bora, beautiful names. Ho repeated them silently in his mind. He hoped he would get the chance to see them again, to make sure they were truly okay. "The matriarch's fleet will arrive in 6 hours, Director Han said. "I wanted to prepare you. When she comes, you will be brought before her. I do not know what will happen after that, but I want you to know, whatever happens, you did a good thing. Those 3 children are alive because of you. No one can take that away." Director Han stood and left the room. Ho lay in his bed, staring at the ceiling. 6 hours. In 6 hours, his fate would be decided. He thought about his mother back on Earth. He had not been able to contact her since the attack. She was probably worried sick about him. She had not wanted him to work in space. She had said it was too dangerous, too far from home. But Ho had wanted adventure. He had wanted to see the stars. Now he might die among them. The hours passed. Ho watched the clock on the wall count down his remaining time. Medical staff came and went with increasing nervousness. He heard whispers in the hallway about the fleet, about how many ships there were, about the weapons they carried. Then finally, an announcement came over the station speakers. Attention all personnel. The Matriarch's fleet has arrived at Orbital 7. All civilian activities are suspended until further notice. Security protocols are in effect. Please remain in your designated areas. Ho took a deep breath. This was it. The door to his room opened. 4 station security guards entered, followed by a medical team with a floating stretcher. They were going to take him to the Matriarch. "Can you walk?" one of the guards asked. Ho tried to sit up. The pain was terrible, but he managed it. "I will try." They helped him off the bed and onto his feet. His wounded leg almost gave out immediately, but he gritted his teeth and stayed standing. He would face the Matriarch on his feet if he could. He would not be carried before her like a piece of cargo. Slowly, painfully, supported by 2 guards, Ho walked out of the medical bay and toward his fate. The main docking bay of Orbital 7 had been cleared of all ships and cargo. It was now filled with soldiers standing in perfect rows. They were tall and elegant, with pale blue skin and powerful bodies. Each one had 4 arms, and each arm held a weapon. Their dark eyes watched everything with cold focus. Ho had never seen so many in one place. The sight was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. These were warriors from the most powerful military in the galaxy, and they were all here because of him. The guards helped Ho walk to the center of the docking bay. Every step was agony, but he refused to fall. He kept his eyes forward, trying not to show fear. A large open space had been left in the middle of the formation, and this was where they stopped. Director Han was already there, along with other station officials. They all looked pale and nervous. None of them had ever dealt with anything like this before. Then the crowd of soldiers parted, and she appeared. Commanding Matriarch was unlike any being Ho had ever seen. She was taller than the other, and her presence filled the entire room. Her skin was a deeper blue than her soldiers, almost purple in places. Her 4 arms moved with practiced grace, and her dark eyes seemed to see everything at once. She wore armor that was both beautiful and deadly, white metal decorated with gold, covering her body like a second skin. Power radiated from her. Ho could feel it pressing against him like a physical force. This was not just a military leader. This was a queen, a goddess of war. Behind her walked 3 small figures. Ho's heart jumped when he saw them. And Bora, the 3 cubs he had protected. They were cleaned up now, wearing fine clothes instead of the dirty rags from before, but their eyes were the same. When little Bora saw him, her face lit up with recognition. "The kind human," she cried out. She tried to run toward him, but an adult held her back gently, raised one hand, and the child went still. The Matriarch walked slowly toward Ho. Each step echoed in the silent bay. The station officials backed away, leaving Ho alone to face her. He stood as straight as his injured body would allow and met her gaze without looking away. Stopped directly in front of him. She was so close that he could see the patterns in her dark eyes, the slight movement of her breathing. She studied him like a scientist studying a strange new specimen. "You are the human," she said. Her voice was deep and smooth like distant thunder. "The one called Ho." "Yes, Matriarch." Ho's voice was steady. He was proud of that. "My children tell me that you protected them. They say you covered them with your body when the attackers came. They say you took weapons fire meant for them. They say you did not run, even when your blood covered the floor." "That is true, Matriarch." Tilted her head slightly. "Why?" Ho blinked. "Why? Why did you do this thing? My children are not your children. They are not your people. You had no reason to risk yourself for them, yet you did. I wish to understand why." Ho thought carefully before answering. This was important. His life might depend on finding the right words. "When I saw them," he said slowly, "I did not see cubs. I did not see the children of a powerful matriarch. I saw 3 scared little ones who needed help. They were alone and frightened, and danger was coming. I could not walk away from that. I could not leave them to be hurt or taken. It was not about species or politics or anything else. It was about doing what was right." Was silent for a long moment. Her expression did not change, but something shifted in her eyes. "You humans," she said finally, "you are such strange creatures. You are weak. Your bodies break easily. Your lives are short. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. And yet you do things like this. Things that make no logical sense. Things that even the bravest warriors might hesitate to do." She reached out with one of her 4 hands. Ho forced himself not to flinch as her fingers touched his chin, lifting his face to look directly into hers. "Show me your wounds," she commanded. Ho was wearing a simple medical gown. Carefully, with help from one of the guards, he removed it enough to reveal the bandages covering his shoulder, back, and leg. The white fabric was stained with spots of blood that had leaked through. Walked around him slowly, examining each injury. Her expression grew darker with each one she saw. 3 shots, she murmured. Any one of them could have killed you, and still you did not move." "I could not let them be taken," Ho repeated quietly. "I would have died first." "You nearly did die." "I know." Completed her circle and stood before him again. The entire docking bay was silent. Even the children had stopped moving, watching their mother with wide eyes. "Do you know our laws, human?" asked. "Do you know what it means among my people to shield another's young?" Ho shook his head. "I do not. Our children are sacred. They are our future, our hope, our greatest treasure. To protect a child that is not your own, to risk your life for another's young, this is the highest honor one can show. It creates a bond that cannot be broken. The one who shields becomes family, not by blood but by choice, by action, by sacrifice." The words hung in the air. Ho was not sure he understood what she was saying. Turned to face the assembled soldiers and station officials. Her voice rang out like a bell. "This human, Ho, shielded my children from harm. He gave his blood to protect them. By the ancient laws of I declare him to be under my protection. He is now kin. He belongs to my house. Any who threaten him, threaten me. Any who harm him will face the full might of my fleet." A murmur ran through the crowd. The station officials looked at each other in shock. Director Han's mouth had fallen open. Turned back to Ho, her expression had changed. It was softer now, warmer, almost gentle. "You saved my children, Ho. You gave them your body as a shield when you had nothing to gain and everything to lose. I do not have words strong enough to thank you for this gift. So instead, I will give you a gift in return." She stepped closer to him. Her voice dropped so that only he could hear. "Come with me. Leave this station. Leave your old life behind. Come to space and let me care for you as you cared for mine. Let me show you what it means to be part of a family. You will want for nothing. You will be honored. You will be loved." Ho stared at her. Of all the things he had expected, punishment, questioning, maybe even death, this had never crossed his mind. I do not know what to say," he managed. "Say yes," a small voice piped up. Everyone looked down. Little Bora had escaped from her handler and was now standing at her mother's side, looking up at Ho with hopeful eyes. "Please come with us, kind human," she said. "I want you to stay forever." Actually smiled, and placed a hand on her daughter's head. "My youngest has spoken. Will you honor her request?" Ho looked at the small cub. He looked at her sisters, who were watching with the same hope on their faces. He looked at this powerful warrior queen who was offering him a new life. What did he have to go back to? A job moving boxes, an empty apartment, a mother he rarely saw. Here was a chance for something more, something extraordinary. "Yes," Ho said, "I will come with you." Bora cheered and hugged his leg. Her sisters ran forward to join her, and commanding matriarch of the watched them with an expression that could only be called love. The journey to space took 7 days. Ho spent most of that time in the medical bay of his flagship, being treated by doctors who were far more skilled than any human medical team he had encountered. They used technology he had never seen before, machines that scanned his body and healed his wounds from the inside, special medicines that reduced pain without clouding his mind. Within 3 days, he was able to walk without help. Within 5 days, the bandages came off. His skin was marked with new scars, but the wounds themselves were healed. "Human bodies are interesting," one of the doctors told him. "You are fragile, but you heal quickly, much faster than we expected." Ho did not feel fragile. For the first time since the attack, he felt strong again. During those 7 days, the cubs visited him constantly. They seemed fascinated by him in a way that made him smile. They asked him endless questions about humans, about Earth, about his life before the attack. The oldest was serious and thoughtful. She wanted to know about human history and science. The middle child was playful and curious. She wanted to know about human games and music. And Bora, the youngest, simply wanted to be near him. She would sit beside his bed for hours, just watching him with her big dark eyes. "Why do you only have 2 arms?" Bora asked one day. Ho laughed. "Because that is how humans are made. We do not need 4 arms." "But how do you hold things? How do you hug people properly?" "We manage. We are good at holding and hugging with just 2 arms." Bora considered this seriously. "Can you show me?" Ho opened his arms and the little cub climbed into his lap for a hug. She fit perfectly against his chest, her small body warm and soft. She sighed happily and closed her eyes. "This is nice," she said. "Your 2 arms are enough." After that, Bora demanded hugs at least 3 times a day. Ho was happy to give them. Herself visited him several times during the journey. She was different when she was not in public, quieter, more thoughtful. She would sit beside his bed and ask him questions about his life. She wanted to know about his family, his work, his dreams. She listened carefully to every answer. "You sent money to your mother," she said once, "even though it meant you had little for yourself." "She is old," Ho explained. "She cannot work anymore, she needs help." "You are a good son. Among the caring for our elders is one of the highest duties. You would fit well with our people." Ho was not sure about that. He was a simple human who moved cargo. These were the most powerful species in the galaxy. He did not see how he could ever fit into their world. But he was willing to try. On the 7th day, the fleet arrived at the... Ho was brought to a viewing window to see it, and his breath caught in his throat. The planet was beautiful. Deep blue oceans covered most of its surface, broken by continents of green and brown. White clouds drifted across the atmosphere. 2 moons hung in the sky above it, one silver and one gold. And surrounding the planet were thousands of ships, the largest fleet Ho had ever seen. "Welcome to Vila Prime," said, standing beside him. "Welcome to your new home." They landed at a massive building complex that served as both the military headquarters and personal residence. It was built from white stone that seemed to glow in the sunlight, with towers that reached toward the sky and gardens that spread in every direction. Walked everywhere, soldiers and civilians alike, and they all stopped to bow as passed. Ho was given his own rooms, not just a room, but an entire section of the building. It had a bedroom larger than his entire apartment on Orbital 7, a sitting room with soft furniture, a bathing room with a pool-sized tub, and a private garden that opened to the outside. The windows looked out over the ocean, and he could hear the sound of waves even from inside. "This is too much," he said to the attendant who showed him around. The attendant, a young male with kind eyes, smiled at him. "You are kin to the matriarch now. Nothing is too much." The first few weeks were overwhelming. Everything was new and strange. The food was different, spicier than human food, with textures he had never experienced. The language was difficult, though he began learning it quickly. The customs were unfamiliar, and he made many small mistakes that made people laugh kindly at him. But through it all, the cubs were his constant companions. They took him exploring through the residence, showing him their favorite places. They introduced him to their pets, strange creatures that looked like a mix between cats and birds. They taught him their games and their songs. They made him feel like he belonged. And watched over all of it. She had returned to her duties as commanding matriarch, which kept her busy most of the time. But she made space for Ho in her schedule. She ate dinner with him and the children most nights. She asked him about his day, about what he had learned, about how he was feeling. She made sure he had everything he needed. One evening, about a month after his arrival, found him sitting alone in his garden. He was looking out at the sunset over the ocean, lost in thought. "You look troubled," she said, sitting down beside him. "I am trying to understand," Ho admitted. "Why you are doing all this for me. You could have just thanked me and sent me back to my old life. Instead, you brought me here and gave me all of this. I am nobody. I am just a human who got lucky." Was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "You think you are nobody, but you are wrong. Do you know what my children call you? They call you Ho the Shield. They tell everyone about you, how you protected them, how you took the weapon's fire without running, how you held them when they were scared. To them, you are a hero. To me, you are something even more rare." "What is that?" "You are someone good. Someone who does the right thing even when it costs them everything. The galaxy is full of powerful beings. It is not full of good ones. When I look at you, Ho, I see someone worthy of being kept close. Someone I want in my family." Ho did not know what to say. His throat felt tight with emotion. Reached out and touched his hand with one of hers. Her skin was cool and smooth against his. "My children's father died 5 years ago," she said. "He was a good male, a good father. Since then I have raised them alone. It has not been easy, even with all my power. They need someone besides me, someone who can give them the softness I often cannot. You are that someone, Ho. You have been that someone from the moment you threw yourself over them in that cargo bay." "I did not know they were yours," Ho said. "I did not know anything. I just saw children who needed help." "That is exactly why you are perfect." Squeezed his hand gently, then stood up. "Rest well tonight. Tomorrow there will be a formal ceremony to welcome you into my house. The entire court will be there. It will be a lot, but the children will be by your side. I will be by your side. You are not alone anymore, Ho. You have us now." She left him in the garden, with the sunset painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Ho looked at the 2 moons rising in the distance and smiled. He was a long way from Earth, a long way from the life he had known. But for the first time in years, he felt like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. 1 year passed on Vila Prime, then 2, then 3. Ho changed in ways he never expected. He learned to speak the language fluently. He learned their customs, their history, their ways of thinking. He trained his body until he was stronger than he had ever been on Earth. He was still human, still soft compared to the warriors around him, but he was no longer the weak cargo handler who had stumbled off that space station. The cubs grew too, was almost fully grown now, preparing to enter the military academy. She was serious and dedicated, just like her mother, but she still made time to visit Ho and ask his advice about her studies. He had become something like an older brother to her. Had discovered a passion for music. She played an instrument that sounded like a combination of a violin and a flute, and she was remarkably talented. She often performed for the family during dinner, filling the room with beautiful sounds that made Ho's heart ache with happiness. And Bora, sweet little Bora, was no longer so little. She was growing tall and strong, though she still demanded hugs from Ho every single day. She had decided that when she grew up, she wanted to be a diplomat who worked with humans. She wanted to build bridges between their species, just as Ho had built a bridge with her family. "Because of you," she told him once, "I know that humans are good. I want to teach everyone that." Ho had never been more proud of anyone in his life. His relationship with had deepened over the years as well. What started as gratitude and duty had slowly transformed into something else. They ate together, walked together, talked together late into the night. She showed him sides of herself that no one else saw, her doubts, her fears, her dreams for her children. He listened to all of it without judgment. He offered comfort when she needed it, and space when she did not. She had stopped calling him just Ho. Now she called him my human. The words carried a warmth that made his chest feel full. The court had accepted him, though not without difficulty. Some had questioned why a human should be given such honor. Some had whispered that it was improper for the matriarch to keep an alien so close, but had silenced all of that with one simple statement. "He saved my children. That makes him more worthy than any of you." No one argued after that. Ho had even managed to bring his mother to Vila Prime. It had taken months of negotiations and paperwork, but had made it happen. Now his mother lived in comfortable rooms near his own, tended by servants who treated her like royalty. She was confused at first. What elderly Earth woman would not be confused to suddenly find herself on an alien planet, but she had adapted well. The cubs loved her, calling her grandmother in, and she loved them back. "I always wanted," she told Ho with a smile. "I did not expect them to be blue with 4 arms, but I will take what I can get." On the 3rd anniversary of Ho's arrival on Vila Prime, invited him to walk with her in the garden where they had talked so many times before. The sun was setting, painting the sky in brilliant colors. The 2 moons were rising. They walked in comfortable silence for a while, then stopped and turned to face him. 3 years, she said. "It feels like much longer." "It does," Ho agreed, "in a good way." "Do you ever regret it, coming here, leaving your old life behind?" Ho thought about the question seriously. He thought about his small apartment, his boring job, his lonely evenings. He thought about the life he had now, surrounded by children who adored him, living in a palace, learning and growing every day. He thought about standing before him with the sunset behind her, more beautiful than anything he had ever seen. "No," he said honestly, "I do not regret it for a single moment." Smiled. It was a rare expression on her face, and it made her look younger, softer. "I have something to ask you," she said. "I have been thinking about it for a long time. I was not sure if it was appropriate. I was not sure if you would want it. But the children have been asking, and I find that I want it too." "What is it?" Took his hands in 2 of hers. The other 2 hands rested on his shoulders, drawing him closer. When someone becomes kin through action rather than blood, there is a second ceremony that can be performed, a deeper bond. It is usually reserved for those who have proven themselves over many years, those who have shown complete loyalty and love. "I believe you have done this. My children believe it. My mother would have believed it if she were still alive." Her dark eyes looked into his, and he saw something there he had never seen before: hope, uncertainty, want. "The ceremony would make you fully part of my house, not just kin, but family in every way. You would have a place by my side officially. You would help me raise my children, not just as a friend, but as a parent. You would share my life, my home, my future." Ho's heart was beating so fast he thought it might burst. "Are you asking me to be your partner?" "I am asking you to be my everything." The words hung between them. The sun finished setting, and the stars began to appear one by one. The 2 moons cast silver and gold light across the garden. Ho thought about the day this all began. The explosions, the screaming, the 3 scared cubs hiding behind debris. He had made a choice that day without thinking about it. He had thrown himself in front of danger to protect children he did not know. He had nearly died for them. And it had led him here, to this moment, to this woman, to this life that was more than he ever dreamed possible. "Yes," he said, "yes, I will be your everything." pulled him close and held him with all 4 arms. It was the first time she had ever held him like this, completely, fully, with nothing held back. Ho wrapped his 2 arms around her in return. "You saved my children," she whispered against his hair. "Now I will keep you forever." "Promise?" he asked. "Promise." They stood there in the garden for a long time, holding each other under the light of 2 moons. Somewhere in the residence, the children were waiting. His mother was waiting. A whole new life was waiting. Ho smiled against his shoulder and let himself be kept. He had started as a nobody, a simple cargo handler doing a simple job. He had ended up as kin to the most powerful family in the galaxy, and all because he had done one good thing when it mattered most. Sometimes, he thought, the universe rewarded kindness in ways no one could predict. Sometimes being human was enough. He was living proof of that.